Did not miss a thing. It's almost like nothing can get done when I am not in the studio. What is going on? Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do us well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Do not forget to ring the notification bell. If you want to support this independent national college football's rebel outpost with a donation, help us keep the lights on and grow the channel, just hit that $ where you make a comment and I will get you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Welcome on in, everybody. It is the second day of the Big Ten Media Days. Now, usually when I do a live show, I have a plethora of stuff all lined up, ready to go. I've got it all in the can. I might have a PATC rendition to sing. Some statistics over here, some data over there, talking about articles, recently published articles. I've got nothing. I've got absolutely nothing ready for you PATC Einsteins. So, We are going to go to your phone calls earlier than we usually do or almost always do. So get ready to light up the phone lines. It is Wednesday, July 29th. I left Monday morning. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, Central Time. And I saw the article on the student athletes creating a charter, looking down the road as a possible charter for a union to represent them in a possible CBA years down the line. So I did an episode on that before I took off and met up with the little general, and then we went on for a couple of day vacation. I was under the belief that there was going to be some resolution to the Protect the College Sports Act. Resolution by, I don't know, end of day Monday, end of day Tuesday, 9 in the morning this Wednesday. Now we are sitting here at 5:40 Eastern Time, 4:40 Central Time. And the only news that we are hearing right now is there's some optimism, some pessimism. Tony Petitti said on the Big Ten Network just a couple of hours ago, there's still more, I'm paraphrasing, but there's more things to work out. More things to, let me read it to you here. Reported by Chris Vanini, Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti to the Big Ten Network on the Senate bill's latest. Quote, "We anticipate getting stuff back shortly that we can reevaluate again. I'm optimistic we're down to issues we should be able to solve." That was that was 2.5 hours ago. Now I just read some reporting that there is a lot of frustration because the Big Ten and the SEC are not seeing the actual language of the bill. The communication is fine. It sounds like there's been some concessions made. It sounds all good, but they're not seeing the language. And as Petitti has said, the language has got to be exact. The language has got to be able to hold up, because if they support the bill, if the Big Ten and the SEC support the bill, and the bill passes, that's it. It's all locked in. It's going to be very difficult to change any of this. It's got to be perfect. And yet, they still have not seen the language of the bill. This could have been done so much easier. I wish this would have been done without the influence of Mr. Cody Campbell. When the original bill targeting some conferences, the two most powerful conferences, that was a bad move. The truth of the matter is that pretty much everybody in college sports wants congressional help. They feel that they need congressional help, that they need the antitrust exemption, or we're not going to be able to govern this thing. Tony Petitti said at the Big Ten Media Days, if this does not pass, again I'm paraphrasing, if the PCSA does not pass, then the next option is to do a compromise among the conferences, the Big 12, the ACC, Big 10, and SEC. And if that doesn't work, then we're going to have to have more where the conference governs themselves more than they do now. Not a complete breakaway. Tony Petitti made it real clear we're going to still be playing everybody else, but we're going to have to take back some of our sovereignty. We're going to have to take back of some governance on some key issues. And then when that starts to happen, well, down the road, anything can happen. We would have been a whole lot better off if we had a serious bill that did not attach all this pooling of the media rights, rivalry scheduling, prohibition on expansion, limiting sovereignty, trying to limit freedom of association. If none of that was attached to the original bill, we could be getting somewhere today. Now, again, keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel for any breaking news. Because I was quite honestly, I thought maybe there would be breaking news before I would come on live today, but it did not happen. So keep your head on a swivel. I got to say, the little general and I are very happy we're back home. It was hot down south, and I'm talking down south in southern Minnesota. It was hot. We had a great time. We saw a double waterfall. We saw bison right up close to our car. We had a lot of great times. The little general and myself. We're back home. I'm glad to be back in the studio. I'm going to be covering this thing like crazy from here on in. We're headed into the month of August. Before we took off for the vacation, I did my official prediction, order of finish prediction for the Big 12. We're going to continue on with that and do the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 10. The Big 10 huddle starts us off. $5 holla. JR. Greg, the people need your best PJ Fleck at the Big Ten Media Days impression. I don't do a whole lot. I only do a few impressions, and I do not do a PJ Fleck impression. I did think, he did talk about, he never talks about the big issues, like in college sports. But he actually talked about it today. I was surprised. He said he's for the playoff of 24 teams. He's for the playoff of 24 teams. But he says we got to get the governance piece done first. We got to figure out how we're going to govern ourselves. But he is for the playoff of 24. He threw in a lot of more of his, I don't know. He's got a lot of different sayings out there, and he threw some more in there that I've never heard of before. He's going on his 10th year at Minnesota, and you can tell he's excited about this team. I think he loves the fact that Drake Lindsey's got 1 year under him. We brought back Anthony Smith. That was an absolute miracle. That guy would have been a top draft pick in the NFL. He came back this year. Preseason All-American. First team All-Big Ten. Incredible defensive end. He's excited about his wide receivers. Darius Taylor is not injured right now. Let me repeat. The great running back, Darius Taylor, does not have a soft tissue issue going on right now. So, but I'm sorry, JR, I can't do him. I cannot do PJ Fleck. I heard that he spoke for 12 minutes and then did 3 minutes of questions. But I've also heard then he went on to answer everybody's questions after he got off the podium. So PJ Fleck likes to talk. All right, let me do the roll. Thank you. Thank you so much, Big Ten Huddle. I appreciate it. Appreciate your generosity. If you go check out the Big Ten Huddle, incredible football YouTube channel. Zach and JR are going to have to get me back on there to talk Big Ten football, though, here soon. Let's get it done. Unless they're afraid to talk about maybe they're afraid to talk about Golden Gopher football. Maybe they are afraid. Mohr Simmons, $2 holla. Greg, this process is being dragged out. It is. I don't know, is that intentional? The problem is the Big Ten and the SEC were not included in the original bill. They were not included. They were iced out by Cody Campbell. So now they're being included in the process, but we have this calendar. We have a calendar. They want to get it voted on before the August recess. It's got to happen now. Now, I did hear there is some reports out there that the lawmakers are intentionally dragging this out, that they're not going to give them the language until it's too late, so then they can blame the Big Ten and the SEC. I've also heard there are people saying that the Big Ten and the SEC is intentionally dragging this out. Thank you for the $2 holler, Mohr Simmons. I appreciate it. BYU football. Greg, what do you think about Stanford players starting to collective bargain with Stanford? They're not starting to collective bargain with Stanford. They're creating a chapter. We did an episode on it. So go check it out. The last episode we did, Monday morning, early Monday morning, go check it out. We did a whole episode on this. But Stanford is looking to collective bargain with the ACC. But even those that are involved in creating this chapter at Stanford, they're not going to push the envelope until after the election. Possibly rearranging the NLRB, National Labor Relations Board. So they're not going to even do this for a couple of years. Like, the student athletes who are engineering this at Stanford are not even going to be around at the time after we're talking about the 2028 elections, not the 2026 elections. Excuse me. So it's an interesting story. We'll see in a couple of weeks or in a couple of months if there's any other universities, any other athletic departments that have student athletes organized enough to create a chapter, to have the majority of the student athletes sign on. Again, Stanford is a private university. Just like Northwestern, it's easier for them to do this. It's an interesting story. It just doesn't have, it does not have a shelf life right now. It's going to be interesting to see if any other athletic departments, student athletes of other schools are able to conjure up what Stanford did. But the collective bargain, that as a possible solution, we are still so far, far away. That isn't going to help us now. Congress cannot lay out a collective bargain for us. They're not able to do that. That's not how this works. There are so many issues around a collective bargaining. But to Stanford, and I agree with the student athletes at Stanford, that this would be at a per sport, per conference, per sport. So ACC football, you got your own collective bargain. Collective bargaining agreement. ACC basketball, you got your own collective bargaining agreement. Big 12 football, Big 12 basketball, and so forth and so on. But we are so far away from any of that being reality. We just are. That's not the solution for today. Legally, it can't be it just doesn't, it's not going to happen. Not now. Maybe a few years down the road. Has been $5 holler. Thank you so much. Has been, do you believe the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten are willing to forfeit future expansion for this bill? Any kind of cap would quickly be challenged. Seems hollow. There was, let me show you guys something here in the Political. I believe this was yesterday. Right here, yesterday, July 28th, I posted this. Part of the Political piece. It also retains a prohibition. This is the last, they're working on the revision of the PCSA. It also retains a prohibition on conferences with over $700 million in revenue participating in mergers and acquisitions, which would impact both power conferences along with the Atlantic Coast Conference. It also would impact the Big 12. The Big 12 is also included in this. That threshold was brought down from an earlier $1 billion limit. But the SEC and the Big Ten had hoped to see it stripped from the bill altogether. So on one hand, the Big Ten and the SEC would rather not have this part of the bill in there. On the other hand, it would be incorrect, in my opinion, it would be incorrect to say that the lawmakers have no leverage in this. They do. The reason why the lawmakers have leverage in this is that the Big Ten and the SEC want this bill to pass if it's structured in the way that they can support it. I happen to think the Big Ten is not gonna I am stunned. And I said this before, I'm absolutely shocked that the number 19 has anything to do with this. The cap number of 19 perplexes me. I don't think that would hold up in the I don't know how that would even hold up in the courts. But for the Big Ten to support it in the bill, look, if the Big Ten gets everything else they could possibly want, could I see the Big Ten supporting it and having a cap of like 20 or 22? Okay, maybe I can see that, but 19? I did a live show on this, and I said if a PCSA bill is written and there's a cap membership of 19 in the bill, and if it's supported by the Big Ten, and if the bill passes, Notre Dame is going to be laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing right at the Big Ten from now into eternity. And you will not be able to blame them. If there's a cap membership of 19 schools, this is Notre Dame's dream come true. So my answer to your question is no. But man, it is very difficult it's getting more and more difficult for me to argue that it's a no. Because that number 19 has been hanging around this long in these negotiations. Now, we don't know for sure because nobody has have you noticed? Now, I've been gone. I've been gone on vacation, so I really don't know. But have you noticed that nobody, as far as I know, has reported directly and said the number 19 for the cap membership, that is still in the revised bill? No one has reported that. So we don't really know, do we? We don't know anything. And I'm wondering how much does the Big Ten and the SEC know? Because it's been reported just a little bit before we came on live that they just want the language. They want to see it in the bill. They just want to see the bill. And the lawmakers are not giving it to them. Now again, hopefully during this live show, we have breaking news. We have breaking news that this thing is a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But I just want to make this clear. If you could figure out a way to make the antitrust exemption strong and solid, you would have protection from the courts. If you could figure out this player compensation, this third-party entity, if you could figure out the retention pool, if you could throw away the cap number, the membership cap number, the SEC and the Big Ten do want to support this. Because even if you go into your silos and you do the old verde salsa, the mild breakaway, where the SEC and the Big Ten and the Big 12 and the ACC, they decide to make their own rules on eligibility, transfer portal, compensation, and maybe a few other items. Even if you do all that, the Big Ten and the SEC are very, very leery of state laws. State laws, once again, jumping in and superseding what they're trying to do as conferences. So we are on the knife's edge. Is this going to get done or not? It doesn't look like it. It's a Hail Mary. How many times do you complete a Hail Mary at the end of the game to win the game? How many Hail Marys actually get completed? That's where we are right now. The Hail Mary attempt. Thank you, has been. I appreciate the $5 holler. Thank you so very much. We've got Kenneth Mohr, Gator Mohr, realignment on Chapel Hill and Raleigh is on pause. They have a Michael Lombardi in a possible CSC problem to deal with first. UNC, that is a priority. Well, it's a pause for a lot of reasons. But you're right, Kenneth Mohr. North Carolina has got more issues. Michael Lombardi, the general manager, who was favored, who was put in that position by Bill Belichick, has now run into some possible issues. He's taken a leave of absence. He's got internal issues at UNC, and he's got a CSC problem. So we see how that goes. Thank you, Kenneth Mohr. I appreciate it. A member for 16 months. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. The Pirate Gator Mohr, a member for 16 months. You are officially knighted Cloak and Dagger College Football. Thank you, Mr. Mohr, for all your participation in our program. I thank you very much. Your generosity, I appreciate it, sir. Appreciate it very much. The Evil Badger. The Evil Badger is riding a wave of optimism. That wave has not descended. Great. Jake Butt, Michigan. The Big Ten Network predicts 7 or 8 wins for the Badgers. It's a good thing I was not watching the Big Ten Network while Mr. Butt predicted that, because I would have had Diet Cherry Coke go through up my nose. Because there's no way the Badgers are winning 7 football games this year. No way the Wisconsin Badgers are winning 7 football games this year. Thank you for the $5 holler, Eva Badger. Very much appreciate it, sir. Interesting. More and more people are getting snowed in under by the Badgers propaganda. Christopher Hooter, $5 holler. Cruz wants to keep the ACC minus UNC plus viable in Notre Dame independent. That's the deal with the limits, 19 or 20, whatever. That avoids chaos for now anyway. Thank you, Christopher Hooder. Appreciate the $5 holler. Yeah, like that's what Cruz wants because he's getting paid out by Cody Campbell. He's getting supported by Cody Campbell and others that share that same interest. Let's put it that way. Yep. It's very true. Thank you, Christopher Huda. Thank you for the $5 holler. Appreciate it. Friends call me Sean. A conference membership cap basically nullifies the ACC Florida State Clemson withdrawal agreement. Look, the Big Ten, Tony Petitti has said it. PJ Fleck has said this to the local people, that the Big Ten, well, Tony Petitti said it, I think it was today, to somebody. I saw a report on it. As an 18-member conference, we would like to see an expansion to 24 teams. Playoff expansion of 24 teams. A 24-team playoff. We're an 18-team conference. Now, Zach Barnett of Football Scoops, he replied and said, well, nobody asked you, nobody told you to go to 18 members. True. But that's what the Big Ten did. So now they're looking for a larger playoff format of 24 teams. Petitti said this, and so did PJ Fleck, that the Big Ten will look at going to 10 conference games. If the playoff expands to 24 teams. So you can see how the Big Ten is preparing for a much larger conference slate of games. You can see why they want to go to 20, at least to 20 teams in the conference, 10 conference games with the 24-team college football playoffs. It was reported earlier today that the Big Ten Network is going to have 43 football games on the network this year. That is a lot of football games. A lot of football games. Crank that conference network up with a lot of live football action. And then they can crank up their ad buys. If the Big Ten goes to 10 conference games, they're going to be able to have their own early renegotiations with their media partners. There's going to be more content out there. They might bring on a new media partner. I mean, it's all connected. Maybe the Big Ten has rethought all of this. Maybe they're like, for the next 20 years, maybe we only go to 20 schools. I can at least buy that. I cannot buy this 19. What an ugly number. And if it is 19, the Big Ten's not expanding. And the Big Ten's going to be fine. However, let me say something that might be very uncomfortable to the Big Ten people in the chat room. I talk about how the Southeastern Conference is sitting on a gold mine. So is the Big Ten. Don't worry about the Big Ten is going to make massive amount of money in their next TV deal. Don't worry about it. But the Big Ten is always comparing themselves to the SEC. The SEC is always comparing themselves to the Big Ten. It takes 18 Big Ten schools that have the same market space as 16 SEC schools. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just telling you the facts. They both make money in different ways. They're both valuable to the media companies in different ways. These conferences are different in so many different ways. But if you agree to the number 19, that gives the SEC some space to expand from 16 to 18. Possibly 19, but probably not. And that might give the SEC a little bit more of that total market advantage. So why would the Big Ten allow this to happen? Why would the Big Ten allow that possibility to happen? But the ugliest part about the cap membership of 19 is not so much for the Big Ten and is not so much for the Southeastern Conference. Because both of them are going to be just fine. They are. The problem is the schools that have invested so much, the athletic departments, the universities, the money purchase, the fan bases, to try to get to higher ground. And now if that number 19 actually sticks and it becomes the law of the land, that is horrific news for a lot of programs out there. Because the Southeastern Conference might look at it and go, you mean a school has to remain independent for 5 years and the Southeastern Conference might not expand at all? The Big Ten won't. That means Clemson and Florida State and North Carolina and Utah and Kansas and all these schools. And what about the schools that were going to backfill into the Big 12 in the ACC? They're going to be stuck. I don't know how I don't see how this is possible. But obviously, this number 19 has been in the negotiations for a couple of weeks. We'll see if it comes out of the wash. It really is baffling. It's stunning to me. Because I mean, that also means that Alabama has to stay in the Southeastern Conference. That Georgia has to stay where they are. The Buckeyes have to stay where they are. Michigan has to stay where they are. You know, for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, if you want to look at it selfishly, this is the perfect law for them. Big Ten's going to remain as it is, not expanding. And the top programs can't go anywhere. There can't be any new conferences created. The pressure, they don't even have to agree to unequal revenue sharing. This is beautiful for Minnesota, for Arkansas, for Missouri, for most of the SEC programs and most of the Big Ten programs. that it's not right. Just to artificially come in and say, this is how it's got to be from here on in. In my opinion, it is not right. $2 holler, Christopher Hooter, 19 is a nightmare scenario for Clemson. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare scenario for a lot of programs. Not just Clemson. Clemson, yes. Florida State, yes. Miami, yes. For University of South Florida, yes. For Boise State, yes. For Memphis, yes. The list goes on and on and on and on. I'm sure Bam and Georgia are just fine staying in the SEC, and I'm sure Buckeyes and Michigan are just fine staying in the Big Ten, but they lose their leverage. They lose that threat of ever them leaving or using that as leverage. All that has gone by the wayside. I'm sure they are fine staying in the Southeastern Conference right now. I'm sure the Buckeyes are as well in the Big Ten. But this changes if this becomes law, where everything stays as it is, no matter what. By the way, this gives great leverage to the media companies when negotiating with the conferences. If this becomes law, it gives great leverage to the media companies in negotiations. We got a very generous 5 gifted membership by the Seminole win, Mohr Simmons. Holy smokes. Thank you, Mohr Simmons. I appreciate it, sir. Let me see if I can find out who... No, I missed it. For those who got a gifted membership from Mohr Simmons, please, when you get an opportunity, say thank you to Morris in the chat room. All of you are United Cloak and Dagger. I was too late on the trigger. Thank you, Morris Simmons. I appreciate it, good sir. You've been so kind to our program. I thank you very much. Thank you very much. 5 gifted memberships. Wow. Thank you, sir. Mama Duck Clemson Tiger. I've said it all along. Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Appreciate it. Congress may think they are hurting the P2, but in reality hurts those schools who want to leave. Yep. Absolutely. We've got Kenneth Maynard, $5 holler. If the cap is at 19, it would be 4 schools fighting for one SEC spot. Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina State, and Virginia. UNC is in. Well, let me say this. North Carolina is the number 1 target for the Southeastern Conference. But let's imagine, if you will, that this bill becomes law, and it has that 19 in there, and it has the 5 years of being football independence. How difficult will it be for North Carolina to go to the Board of Governors in the state of North Carolina and say, look at our financial plan. We believe in 5 years we are going to have an invite to the Southeast. In 5 years, we're going to have an invite to the Southeastern Conference. in these next 5 years, we think we're going to make this amount of money, having our games being broadcast by the CW network or whatever. I mean, North Carolina would have to be independent for 5 years. I don't know how they can go to the Board of Governors and say, oh, and this is going to affect North Carolina State. I don't know how North Carolina gets the ability to move to the Southeastern Conference under this scenario of the 19 staying there in a 5-year provision that you have to be independent program for 5 years. I don't know how North Carolina pulls that off. It's going to be difficult for any of these programs to pull that off. But especially North Carolina, in my opinion. Now again, we do not know if this is going to be in the revised bill. We have no idea. We have no idea. Okay, now let me quickly check here. Let me quickly check if there's any national news we do have breaking news on Iowa and Iowa State. The Cy-Hawk series has been extended to 2031. The Cy-Hawk series has been extended to 2031. Okay. This is the last report that I've seen. The last reporting that I've seen from Ben Portnoy or anybody else. The Big Ten Commissioner, Tony Petitti, tells Sports Business Journal the league has received Tony Petitti tells the Sports Business Journal the league has received some language back from lawmakers and is working through it in real time. The Big Ten has not yet seen a full draft of the revised bill. Our leadership has been very clear. We need to see the language. That is the last reporting that we have received from anybody that I know of. Let me know. The notorious Sun Devil call me naive, but I just don't take the cap being at 19 series. I agree with you. I cannot take it. The reason why I'm taking it serious right now is because it's been reported many times that that's part of the negotiations. But we do not know if at this point if there is even a cap, membership cap, because it has been reported over the night from Tuesday to Wednesday that there has been major concessions towards the Big Ten and the SEC. But we don't know what they are. We don't know what they are. And again, the Big Ten and the SEC truly don't know what they are. The conversations might sound good over the phone, over Zoom, but until you see the official language of the bill, it's hard to have a position on it. Have you talked to BTM or Peek Around the Corner since you've been back? No, I have not, and I probably will talk to him late tonight or tomorrow. I have not. On my vacation, I did not. I did very little work. I try to keep up on the news, but other than that. Okay, we're going to open up the phone lines here. You know how this works. When you call in, the floor is yours. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Talk about the Big Ten media days, whatever you want to discuss. Go right ahead. The floor is yours. Super chats, the floor is yours. Let me have it. What are you thinking? Again, we're waiting for any breaking news on this PCSA. It's a Hail Mary. We're at the last play of the game. Can we complete a Hail Mary? Can we get this bill done? Or the bill that can be supported by the Big Ten and the SEC?
From
Rick, how you doing, sir? The floor is yours. Thanks for calling.
Oh, we're good. So basically, they came up with 10 things that they wanted.
Okay.
The Power 2. They've gotten 8.5 of the 10.
Okay.
And they've got Cantwell and Cruz's lackeys working through the night and through the weekend to do all of the heavy lifting on writing all of the words down on paper for them.
Okay. What are the 1.5 things that the Big Ten and SEC did not get?
I don't know.
And that's the crux of it all, right? I mean, we don't know because we don't.
No, the crux. That's not it. The crux of it all is they didn't do all this in the last, say, few years. They didn't get together and write all this stuff down.
Who did?
The Big Ten and the SEC.
Well, they did with the Protect the Score Act. They did on the Score Act. But that was defeated in the House. Invited to write this bill up until the last.
Didn't write the bill up. And the staff wrote up the bill.
Yep.
The staff. The legislative staff.
Yeah, they're the ones that have to write up that's their job, yes. Yep. They're the lawmakers, they write up the bill.
If you're the one that wants it.
No. No, Ted, this is a Ted Cruz Cantwell bill. This is the bill that the Big Ten and SEC were not invited to help write up. They did another bill with lawmakers that got shot down. So this bill,
they did a worthless bill. They did nothing. They did absolutely nothing.
They've been in Washington D.C. a couple hundred at different times, there, buddy. And this bill got drawn up by the heavy influence of Smash Capital and Cody Campbell, and it wasn't going to get support of the Big Ten and the SEC. So then the lawmakers found out that this bill wasn't going to pass the Senate and definitely the House without the support of the Big Ten and the SEC. So they started negotiating with the Big Ten and the SEC. And here we are now. The Big Ten and the SEC cannot formally support a bill in which they have yet to see the official language.
They want to see the official language because they can't write the official language themselves.
Well, they're not lawmakers. You are correct. They want to see the official language.
Neither are the congressional staff.
What was that?
Neither are the congressional staff.
Oh, the congressional staffs write bills all the time. You don't think it's actually done by the senators, do you?
Of course not.
Yeah.
But it's worthless until it's passed. It's nothing. It's like the Sports Act. It's worthless.
The Big Ten and the SEC are trying to figure out, and the lawmakers want their formal support to help it pass. The Big Ten and the SEC needs to see the official, formal, revised language of the bill before they can support it or not. That's what they're waiting on.
Write down what you want.
They've done that, and they've given it to the congressional staff members and Cruz and Cantwell, and they haven't seen the latest revised bill, the total language of the bill. Because it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the whole bill. There's no in between.
On a bill that's not been seen.
Yep, they can't support it until they see the entire bill written. Hopefully they get that tonight.
They could if they wrote it.
But that's not what. But this is Cruz and Cantwell's bill.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. This is the one that got through their committee, the 19 and 9. This is the one. This is the only thing we got going right now.
Cruz and Cantwell's bill has been flushed. This is the Big Ten and the SEC's bill.
Well, obviously it's not, because if it was, this thing would have been done.
Well, it's 85%. And they didn't even write it.
I don't know what the percentiles are, because I don't know what the revised bill says, and neither does anybody else. I don't know how much they've really gotten.
You better check with Ross Dellinger. He'll fill you in.
Okay, I will, but he doesn't know either, or he's not allowed to report it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's handy. Thanks.
All right, sir. I don't know. When you say that the SEC and the Big Ten got 8.5 out of 10 of what they wanted, I got two questions.
From
Simmons.
Can you hold on one second, Morris?
All right.
I appreciate it. So I got two questions when you say that the Big Ten and the SEC has got 8.5 out of 10 of what they wanted. Number one, what is the 1.5 that they did not get? Number two, though, the bigger question is, did they really get 8.5 out of the 10 that they asked for? How do they know they got 8.5 out of the 10 that they asked for? Like Petiti said during the media days, he said, the phone conversations sound great, but we haven't seen the language. We haven't seen what it's really written like. So how do we know if we're going to support it or not? That's the problem we're having. Let's see the bill. Let's see the bill. Let's see the bill, and then we can judge. Support or not support. Morris, hold on, Morris Simmons. Wait a second here. We got a very kind super chat from the evil one, Ryan Wille. When the Big Ten Network showed the Badgers' schedule, the Axe game is on NBC. Yes, it is. The game is at Madison. It's 6:30 at night on NBC Friday night, Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. So, you know where I'm going to be, Ryan Willie. I'm going to be in the studio doing a watch party on that Axe game. Gophers, Badgers, let's go. Mohr Simmons, the floor is yours. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, Greg. I have a question. When we looking at this piece of legislation here, and the reason why I'm going to raise this question because I said something in the chat, and somebody else commented on what I said. So I want to get some clarity on this.
Okay.
Okay. So now this legislation that Cody and Ted Cruz is trying to push through. Let's say it do passes, and that's the premise that it passes, and everybody locked in at 19 for the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now the agreement with Florida State and Clemson with the ACC, where we could create our own little thing. For us if we was to get out.
Yeah.
Okay, that would get, first of all, if this legislation was to try to prevent Florida State and Clemson from doing anything, that would be in a court. That's one. Two, this piece of legislation, I don't care how it passes, if you got private equity on the outside come in, and they can come talk to Florida State, they can talk to Clemson, and whoever else to come in. These schools independently can leave their conference and go in, and this is on the premises if the private equity was coming in and they was creating a super league. Now you bypassing the conferences. The conferences are what's going to be beholden to this piece of legislation. The individual schools can leave. If you let private equity come in, and they can leave. There ain't nothing to tie the schools in except for a grant of right.
Now, supposedly, Morris, and I say supposedly because we don't see the final language of the revised bill yet. Supposedly,
right, but I'm just saying it's a lot. Remember a while back I had mentioned, I said these conferences, if they play around, Big Ten, SEC, and they leave this door open, just a crack, private equity is coming through.
Okay, supposedly in this bill, in this revised bill, there's a part of the bill that will not allow private equity to come in to form a new conference. That is written in the revised bill. Let me finish. Supposedly in the revised bill. So if this bill was passed and that was in the revised bill, then you'd have to go to court and see if you could get that overthrown. But that is a threat that these conferences would not have to deal with if that holds up. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, let's say that's in there. Still, what's the wording that you said for if a school want to leave and you can't hinder that school from leaving to seek greener pastures?
Yeah, that's true. Freedom of association.
Right, freedom of association.
Yep.
So let's say they were talking to private equity and we want out. We want out. We want off this merry-go-round, this circus. We want out. Okay, either way, it's still going to be something that's going to be challenged in a court. And odds are they're going to lose on this. This is why I keep hitting the mark. Right now, the ball is in the SEC, Big Ten, court. But if they keep on dragging, I won't say dragging it out because they trying to get what they can get. But the bottom line in the grand scheme of things, if they mess around and this goes the wrong way, private equity will come in. That's the only thing I'm saying. Private equity will come in. This Florida State, Clemson, we did not go to court for nothing. We didn't spend a whole lot of money for nothing. Now, hook or by crook, we will be out of this ACC. You cannot lock schools into a conference that we don't want to be in because you got other schools don't want us to get out to go seek greener pastures. Now you penalizing schools that are able to move so that everything can stay the status quo, just stay where it is. So that's where I'm getting kind of frustrated with this. And we just really have to find a way to get these conferences to move so that, hey, let's take it to court if we got to take it to court, but move. And I know you mentioned something about the media, for us, the media partners. Believe it or not, if private equity is on the other side of that door, media partners, it's going to be a lot of pressure being applied to these conferences to move because ESPN ain't going to want private equity to come in. Because if they come in, you don't know what's going to happen. That's a whole nother can of worms. Same thing with Fox. Hey, we don't know how this is going to play out. It's going to be a whole lot of pressure on these conferences to move. That's all I got to say.
Got it. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Beautiful call.
All right.
Beautiful call. It would be... thank you, Morris Simmons, for the phone call. It would be a lot easier to talk about all this if we knew what was in the revised bill, but we don't. We don't know.
From
Christopher Hooter.
Christopher Hooter, can you hold on for a second, sir?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. We're doing a Christopher Hooter super chat right now. $2 holler. Thank you, Christopher Hooter. Appreciate it. Kenneth, exactly. UNC +1. Mr. Hooter was agreeing with what Kenneth Imani said earlier in the program. SCC not going to 19. I don't know why you'd go to 19. But yeah, just at 19. Christopher Hooter, thank you, sir, for the $2 holler. I appreciate it. I just want to answer one question that is in the chat here. Rod Nix is interested in Greg's take on it. I think they're talking about Hayes's article. Is that what you guys talking about? Matt Hayes's. Well, Matt Hayes had an article a day before that talks about how, we should just go to collective bargaining and that is the solution and everything. And then, of course, he had some lawyers go after him on X saying, you can't just jump into collective bargaining. It's against the law. It's the NLRB, and they just read off a bunch of reasons why you can't do it right now. And Matt Hayes kind of just swatted at him and said, well, Matt Hayes, I like to do his articles once in a while, but because they're, I don't know how to describe him. But sometimes he's not serious. I think he's trying to get a reaction out of people. It's part of his job. The article on North Carolina and Duke, I think that's basically his main assertion. If that 19 was part of the law, it'd be North Carolina and Duke. And then I think he said Big Ten doesn't do anything, correct? I don't even remember it. I just read it real quick. I mean, there's some... Again, though, I don't know how North Carolina becomes an independent program for 5 years. I do not know how that gets done. I do not know how they can get that through the Board of Governors in the state of North Carolina. So I have my doubts. I have my doubts on expansion if that number 19 stays in there, which I don't think it will. But if it does, and that 5-year provision of independence stays in there, and I don't think it does, but if it does, I think expansion for just about everybody is going to be a no. It's going to be a no-go, except for a program like UConn. But everything else is going to be, Anyways, we'll see. Again, we got to find out what's in this revised bill. We don't know the language. We don't know if anything. We do not know if any of that is in there or not. I was hoping we would find out during this program, before this program, but it doesn't look like we're going to find out. Go ahead, Christopher Hooter. The floor is yours.
Well, I agree with everything you just said about the 5-year independence clause. If that's in there, then everybody freezes. Assuming you can't quick strike, do it right now before the bill's signed, right?
Well, they would. Again, if it's a bill that they want passed, then they would not do the quick strike. If it's a bill that they fear is going to pass and they don't want it to pass, then that is how the quick strike works. But I don't think they're going to do a quick strike on if it's a bill that they overall want to have passed. So go ahead.
Well, if they're agreeing, no, okay, if right,
Yeah.
If 19 is real,
Yeah.
then Cruz and Cantwell are kind of conceding to at least the possibility of the SEC adding 2, not 3. They're not going to add 3. And of course, the Big Ten is not going to move unless it's Notre Dame, and they wouldn't do that because that would just be awkward too. And Notre Dame would want to bring Stanford, blah blah blah, right? So. Let's play along. Let's say the 5 years, set that aside. I think for the SEC, it's all about North Carolina. If North Carolina, for whatever reason, can't move, doesn't want to move, then write it down. The SEC will stay at 16, and they'll just be happy as ever. Good, we're at 16, whatever.
Yeah. And they know that the Big Ten isn't going to move, right?
That's right.
So
that's right.
You don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about that anymore. And
then the Big Ten stuck with 2 members that have shares, so they've got some internal, right?
No, there'll be full shares in the next media negotiations.
Okay, well that's not that far away, I guess.
Yeah,
okay.
If this, and it's a big if the 19 stays in there with the 5-year provision. The Big Ten is going to be fine. The SEC is going to be fine. This was not what they wanted to do in the next 5 years, but they're going to be fine. But there's going to be a lot of programs that this is going to really hurt. Really, really hurt. Especially in the next media negotiations. If you're talking the SEC, if you're talking the Big Ten versus whatever the ACC can muster in 2036. I mean, the gap is going to be astronomical. And there's going to be a lot of upset people at Clemson, at Florida State, at Miami, at North Carolina, at Duke, Virginia, some schools out west, and then there's going to be schools that were looking to backfill in the ACC and the Big 12. There is going to be a lot of, and I do believe there are going to be some schools taking it to court.
Well, they can take it to court, but if there's a handshake agreement that the SEC and the Big Ten agree, 19's a number. Does it matter if they take it to court?
Well, if it's the law of the land, it's going to be difficult. Yeah, but who knows?
Well, we made an agreement to get this bill signed. That was the price paid. If it's challenged, it's challenged. But we still had a handshake agreement. I mean, I don't know if you can. I don't know, right? So
I don't know.
But if I'm, but all right, if they can get to 20, if they can change the 19 to 20, yeah. Right, and that's a big if. Now you've opened it up for the SEC ACC scoop. Okay, boom, there went 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so now is the ACC viable enough for Notre Dame to remain independent? And so that's probably, I assume that's what Cruz is worried about. If the SEC plucks 2, well, life goes on. But if they pluck 4, life does not go on because it's a disaster. And now Notre Dame's got to jump and take whoever they're taking with them. And then everybody's at 20. And then the ACC's in panic mode. So, yeah. So I think that's what 19's all about. I think if he gives on 19, I think it's kind of chaos. I think I suspect that's what Cruz is worried about, and his buddy Cody Campbell.
Yeah, I think that is probably the one that Cruz and Cantwell does not want to. That's the one that they do not want to make a concession on, because that's the one that Cody Campbell's paying for the most, right? Is that membership cap. He does not want any more changes, right? He wants to keep it the way it is. So,
yeah. So if it stays at 19, if I'm Florida State, I'm still feeling okay. I could be that second pick.
Well, how are they going to go independent for 5 years?
Well, but you got to forget the independent thing. I mean, let's assume that's not in there, right? Okay.
Well,
but I mean,
okay.
Right. If North Carolina goes, you could potentially see North Carolina and Florida State. I could see that, right? I could see North Carolina and Miami. I could see that. I could see North Carolina and Virginia. I could see that. But I can't see North Carolina and Clemson. And I feel for Clemson. Clemson's had so much success the last 10 years. And with 19, it's a disaster. So you just never know, man. You just never know.
Yeah.
Anyway, enjoying the program. Welcome back.
You got it. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. Yes, sir. Talk to you. Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. It's that 5-year independent provision. That's just crazy. It's crazy. It's Notre Dame's. It's all of Notre Dame's most beautiful dreams coming true. That provision.
Call from
Rock and Rant.
Rock and Rant. The floor is yours. What do you think, sir? I've been out. I've been gone. What's the lay of the land as you hear it?
This is Dumb and Dumber, the sequel to the sequel. This whole thing is just so ridiculous. Now, I'm not like super stressing because deadlines keep flying by, and that's the nature of doing this legislative stuff. But I don't see how this still gets past the House if it even gets past the Senate in its current form. And maybe it does. I know the previous caller said, well, if you have a handshake agreement with the Big Ten and the SEC, what does it matter? If schools sue, and the part of the law about restraining membership is dismissed as unconstitutional, that has nothing to do with your handshake agreement. That's actually an illegal part of the law. So we're not making it throughout the entire law. But there's no way in God's green earth there won't be a lawsuit over that if it gets all the way through the Senate and then the House and then reconciliation. And I really, honestly, does Cody Campbell think, is he just think this is all fine because he's okay with Texas Tech being stuck forever? They might be, by the way, based off of his own actions, stuck in the Big 12, so to speak. I'm not doing anything disparaging, but I'm just trying to indicate the financial gap that will continue to exist between the Big 12 and the SEC, the Big 12 and the Big 10. Is he just okay with that because he's willing to write the $60 to $70 million annual difference is likely to eventually get hit between those media deal contracts till he's dead and then he doesn't care? Is that like his end game? And are we all stuck here like he's the Elon Musk of college football, having to bend to him like he controls space?
Yeah, he wants the control. He wants the control, and he's paying for it. He's paying for the control, right? He's paying for those that want to control the landscape, want to control freedom of association. This is the hill that he probably doesn't. He's probably going to die on, right? He's probably not willing to give this one up, the cap membership. I'm shocked. First of all, I'm shocked we're talking about cap membership. But then to add on to it, I'm shocked we're talking about the number 19. To me, that's Notre Dame. Notre Dame's got to be playing a part in this. Smash or something, because if it's 20, then the Big Ten at least have some sort of like, okay, Notre Dame, we're going to add to in that 5-year provision. That reeks of Notre Dame. I mean, how did that get in there? Why is that in there?
This all just reeks of a break glass in case of emergency, touchdown Jesus, pray for us. And if we need it, it's there. And you know the Big Ten is not going to, whether it's for tomorrow or 8 years, they're just going to continue to be Lucy and Charlie Brown with the Notre Dame as the football of conference realignment. Even though it's never going to happen, Notre Dame will always have their emergency exit plan. And I think that is Babako because he's also in the room. Only other school besides Texas Tech that we are aware of has a voice constantly in the room. That doesn't mean that there aren't presidents that are being involved, but most of them are being represented by their conference commissioners for a large part of this. I think it's unbelievable that, like, the thing that seems to be, and granted because it can't actually publish the law, God forbid anybody sees it before they vote on it, that the thing that is the most being held to possibly is the part that on the surface seems to be constitutionally dicey, is the one that's the hill that they're willing to die on in order to, so to speak, save college sports, but intentionally screw over at least a dozen universities, if not potentially up to 20, from getting a better position for them now in the long term to try to fix something that got completely effed to the nth degree more than 20 years ago and running. They're trying to like make somebody unpregnant, and the bad part of it is like the baby's, the realignment baby and the destruction of everything has already been born because it already started. And because we already had to go towards paying players because they screwed over players for years. Like, all those things are coming together at the same time. So, counting in I think it's ridiculous. I'm certainly aware that if it's somehow it's all the way through, it's all the way through, and it's all the way through, that my school that I root for is going to have Cody Campbell with that attitude forever to make up the gap. That will be stuck with anyone who's less than ACC because we're going to still be at that same revenue gap that you're trying to compete with, even if you come in tomorrow with a $12 million, $15 million, tax, because nobody's going to get more something unforeseen than Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Texas level. Like, they're going to get the highest ceiling of that in the revenue source.
Hey, Rock and Rat. I'm going to have to let you go. Your audio is...
No worries.
It's just mumbling on, so sorry about that, sir. I think I caught most of that. I think we can all understand Rock and Rat's sentiment on this. Yeah, it's
from
Moen.
Moen, how you doing, sir? You guys going on live tonight?
No, I've got a members only stream tonight.
Oh, got it.
So
Got it.
that's for the members only. But I had to call you after I heard Rick's call. I don't know where anywhere in the Constitution where it says that athletic and academic conferences can write and submit legislation into the Senate or the House. Completely lost me on that one.
Yeah.
I get that I get that their aides actually do the writing of the bill, but it has to get approved by the senator first. So,
Yeah.
And the Big Ten and SEC did. You were right. They did. They were part of the SCORE Act. They were for that. They consulted on that. But this act they weren't asked to consult on until the very end when they realized they needed the Big Ten and SEC to be on board to get enough votes to get it through the Senate.
Yep.
And you can't get upset at the Big Ten and SEC for saying we want to see the actual language. I mean, if somebody put a contract in front of you, wouldn't you want to read it first?
Yeah. Now, my question is, why haven't we seen the language yet? Is it because it's a physical impossibility? In other words, you're making all these changes. You got to, there's a lot to the process of writing the bill. They're going back and forth. Is it a process situation, or haven't we seen the bill yet because they know, the lawmakers, the staff members know that the Big Ten and the SEC are not going to agree to the bill? I'm like, why haven't we seen the bill yet?
Yeah, I think that's what the Big Ten and SEC are asking right now. Apparently, they've only got piecemeal bits. There's a Title III in there, Section 3 for HBCUs. We don't know anything that's in it.
Yeah, that's trying to get the Black Caucus vote in the House further down the line.
I'm not against supporting HBCUs, but I mean, you can't just give a partial bill and then just say, you guys endorse this, and then we'll do exactly what. You can't do that. And there was a great article in USA Today, and I have it on my Twitter at Moen After Dark. You can look it up. But a congressional aide said that the Big Ten and SEC gave them 12 revisions they needed. 12. Not 10, 12.
Okay.
And they said, these are the 12 we need in the bill in order to support it. And they gave them 8.
Now, we don't know what those 12 are, and we don't know what 8 of the 12 that they got, the SEC and the Big Ten, correct?
Well, we do kind of know from that outline from yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So we do have that outline that kind of tells us some of the things they got. Okay. But, I mean, it's clear when the congressional aide says, well, the Big 12 and SEC said they needed these 12 things. We gave them 8.
Yeah.
Well, if the Big Ten and the SEC needed those things, and you need the Big Ten and SEC to get your votes, you need to make sure the Big Ten and SEC get all 12. It's the difference between a need and a want.
Yeah.
The Big Ten and SEC did not reach out saying, we want these 10 revisions. They're saying we need these 12 revisions.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what's going to happen. No actual language has been seen yet. I wouldn't sign a contract without reading it. I can't see how people could fault the Big Ten and SEC for wanting to see a contract language before they endorse it. And you can't fault them for coming to the table late because they weren't invited to the table until late. So,
now,
this is,
so Tony Petitti said during the media days that he said, first our focus is on congressional action, this bill. We're focusing on this. We're trying to get this done. If it fails, the next is we want to work with our conference partners to try to come up with compromises so we can govern, right?
Correct.
And then the third one is if that doesn't work or work completely, then the conferences are going to take back some of their historical functions that they gave to the NCAA, the body that they created to govern over everybody. So they would start building their silos, right? But Petiti also said that we would play other teams outside the Big Ten.
Right. But,
my fear.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead with your fear.
My fear is if this bill doesn't work out, and it sounds like that's where we're heading, this whole compromise with all these conferences, whatever. I mean, that's what we did with Al Sullivan. It was everybody signing on the dotted line. It was, I mean, that didn't work. It's not going to work. And plus, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the ACC are on the opposite side of a lot of these issues with the Big Ten and the SEC. If this doesn't pass, then yeah, everyone's going to talk, kumbaya, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's going to be quick that the SEC we are going to take together. I think we're going to quickly move into that green verde salsa. We're going to quickly go in to the beginning of the silos. What do you think?
I don't know, but you brought up Tony Petiti at Media Days. The other thing he said was he wanted a much skinnier bill.
Yeah.
This bill is loaded with crap.
Yes.
Basically, nobody wants except, they're trying to appease a certain demographic in the Senate. You've got the HBCU thing that's appeasing the CBC in the House. You've got things you have to use to appease the Democrats that aren't relevant, things to appease the Republicans that aren't relevant. But it comes down to this point for me, Greg. Why is Cody Campbell, why does he have such undue influence on this legislation?
He does, man. He does.
He's a billionaire. He's buying legislation.
Yes.
So, I mean, he's the chair of regents of one university in the Big 12. He should not outweigh every other university in the Autonomous Four, every other university in the G6, every other university throughout FBS. It's ridiculous, Greg, but I'll let you go and let you get some more callers in.
You got it. I appreciate it, sir. There is, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mohr. There is, Mohr is correct, and I want to give a good example here. It was reported. It was reported by Ross Dellinger that it was the Republican senators who put forth the membership cap of 20. It was the Republicans that put the cap up. And then it went down to 19. And of course, Cody Campbell has much more traction with the Republicans than the Democrats. He contributes to the Republicans more than the Democrats. So that 20 cap membership, that came from Cody. And then it went down to 19. It really is something. Again, hopefully, Sid Irish, you can, I'm giving you a warning, no spam in here. Most of the comments are your comments. So just relax, don't spam the board. Appreciate it, sir. Okay. Do you need another moderator? Someday I might have to go to moderate. I might have to put it in a moderator. I only have one. That's a little general. I do want to thank the Big Ten Huddle, Mohr Simmons, Has Been, Kenneth Maynard, Eva Badger, Christopher Hooter, Mohr Simmons, Christopher Hooter, Kenneth Maynard, Christopher Hooter, Eva Badger, Kenneth Maynard. Thank you so much for your incredible donations, super chats. I appreciate it. We've got one here from the Pirate Gator, Kenneth Maynard, $5 holla. UNC and likely North Carolina State could join the American or the Big East for 5 years for basketball and other sports. In Indy for football, UNC is a basketball school. I guess, again, it would take the Southeastern Conference to say, we'll take both of you, and then both of you play football for Independence for 5 years. Man, I tell you, that's a possibility, Mr. Maynard. It's a possibility. But that 5-year provision, again, Notre Dame's dream come true. All of this would be Notre Dame's dream come true. Cody Campbell's. You can see where this bill was written. You can see where this bill originated from. And we'll see if this bill can pass. Thank you, Cranky Tiger. I appreciate it, sir. MBM is in the house. Nobody wants North Carolina State. Nobody. Rod Nix. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. MBM, maybe if the American Revolution 2.0 kicks off in the next month or so, we can get the PCSA bill clicked down the road. American Revolution 2.0. Boy, I have been out of it. I've been on vacation last couple of days. I'm missing all the news. The next revolution is happening. I have no idea what you're talking about. ESPN is behind the 5-year independence. Stephen Vitt, I appreciate it, and I maybe get back to you on that. Maybe I will get back to you on that. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the offer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to lock it up here. We've been on the air for 1 hour and 43 minutes. Again, I do apologize. I did not have a show really lined up for anybody. You know how I usually set up a monologue. I had nothing to offer. I had absolutely nothing to offer. I apologize. Got back from vacation. Wanted to go live. Wanted to chop it up with you all. Tomorrow we're going to be more organized. And hopefully by tomorrow, we're actually going to have something to talk about when it comes to the Protect the College Sports Act. Is it a thumbs up? Is it a thumbs down? What is going on? Tomorrow should be the day, or later tonight. Right? Tomorrow or later tonight. Let me go make sure. I'm going to check everything once again. Let me make sure there's no break in national news. It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it. Have ran out of time. Let me check one more thing here. No, I got a feeling we're going to have breaking news right when I get off, and then the news will hit. We shall see. Anyways, buckle up, brace for impact, get ready for tomorrow's live show at Peek Around the Corner. It could be, it should be, it could be It should be an historic live show tomorrow for you all at Peek Around the Corner on July 30th on a beautiful Thursday. So subscribe. Before you leave, smash the like button. And please, you all take great care of each other. As always, Greg, I am so happy to be back here, the Little General and myself. It is a true pleasure to do Chop It Up college football with you all every single day. I'm glad to be back. Let's get into it. College football tomorrow, Thursday. Until then, please, you all take great care of each other. God, family, Golden Gopher.